Welcome to the Tom and Ben News Wikipedia News Edition. On 6th episode of Season 2 is Sony. Sony Group Corporation, Sony Europe Kawashiki Geisha, commonly known as simply Sony, stylized as Sony in uppercase, is a Japanese multinational conglomerate corporation headquartered in Minato, Tokyo, Japan.
As a major technology company, it operates as one of the world's largest manufacturers of consumer and professional electronic products, the largest video game console company and the largest video game publisher.
Through Sony Entertainment, it is one of the largest music companies, largest music publisher and second largest record label, and the third largest film studio, making it one of the most comprehensive media companies.
It is the largest technology and media conglomerate in Japan.
It is also recognized as the most cash-rich Japanese company, with net cash reserves of 2 trillion yens. Sony, with its 55% market share in the image sensor market, is the largest manufacturer of image sensors, the second largest camera manufacturer, and is among the semiconductor sales leaders.
It is the world's largest player in the premium TV market for a television of at least 55 inches, 140 centimeters, with a price higher than $2,500, as well as second largest TV brand by market share and, as of 2020, the third largest television manufacturer in the world by annual sales figures.
Sony Group Corporation is the holding company of the Sony Group, Sony Europe, which comprises Sony Corporation, Sony Semiconductor Solutions, Sony Entertainment, Sony Pictures, Sony Music, Sony Interactive Entertainment, Sony Financial Group, Sony Creative Products, and others. The company's slogan is "We are Sony."
Their former slogans were the one and only 1979 to 1982, It's a Sony, 1981 to 2005, Like No Other, 2005 to 2009, Make Believe, 2009 to 2013, and Moved, 2013 to 2021.
Sony has a weak tie to the Sumitomo Mitsui Financial Group, SMFG, corporate group, the successor to the Mitsuki Uetsu.
Sony is listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, in which it is a constituent of the Nikkei 225 and Topix Core 30 indexes, with an additional listing in the form of American Depository Receipts. Listed in the New York Stock Exchange, traded since 1970, making it the oldest Japanese company to be listed in an American exchange, and was ranked 88th on the 2021 Fortune Global 500 list.
Sony began in the wake of World War II.
In 1946, Masaru Buka started an electronic shop in Shirichiya, a department store building in the Neonbashi area of Tokyo.
The company started with a capital of 190,000 yens and a total of 8 employees.
On 7 May 1946, Ibuka was joined by Akio Morita to establish a company called Tokyo Tsushin Kagyo, Tokyo Telecommunications Engineering Corporation.
The company built Japan's first tape recorder, called the Type G.
In 1958, the company changed its name to Sony.
Tokyo Tsushin Kagyo founders Morita and Ibuka realized that to achieve success and grow, their business had to expand to the global market, which required labeling their products with a short and easy brand name.
While looking for a Romanized name, they at first strongly considered using their initials, TTK.
The primary reason they did not is that the railway company Tokyo Kyuko was known as TTK.
The company occasionally used the acronym Tatsuko in Japan, but during his visit to the United States, Morita discovered that Americans had trouble pronouncing that name.
Another early name that was tried out for a while was Tokyo Teletech, until Akio Morita discovered that there was an American company already using Teletech as a brand name. The name Sony was chosen for the brand as a mix of two words. One was the Latin word sonus, which is the root of sonic and sound, and the other was sunny, a common slang term used in 1950s America to call a young boy.
In 1950s Japan, Sunny Boys was a loan word in Japanese, which connoted smart and presentable young men, which Akio Morita and Masaru Buka considered themselves to be.
The first Sony-branded product, the TR-55 transistor radio, appeared in 1955, but the company name did not change to Sony until January 1958. At the time of the change, it was extremely unusual for a Japanese company to use Roman letters to spell its name instead of writing it in kanji.
The move was not without opposition. TTK's principal bank at the time, Mitsu, had strong feelings about the name.
They pushed for a name such as Sony Electronic Industries or Sony Teletech.
Akio Morita was firm, however, as he did not want the company name tied to any particular industry.
Eventually, both Ibuka and Mitsu Bank's chairman gave their approval. According to Schiffer, Sony's TR-63 radio cracked open the U.S. market and launched the new industry of consumer microelectronics.
By the mid-1950s, American teens had begun buying portable transistor radios in huge numbers, helping to propel the fledgling industry from an estimated 100,000 units in 1955 to 5 million units by the end of 1968.
Sony co-founder Akio Morita founded Sony Corporation of America in 1960.
In the process, he was struck by the mobility of employees between American companies, which was unheard of in Japan at that time.
When he returned to Japan, he encouraged experienced, middle-aged employees of other companies to reevaluate their careers and consider joining Sony.
The company filled many positions in this manner and inspired other Japanese companies to do the same.
Moreover, Sony played a major role in the development of Japan as a powerful exporter during the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s, supplying the U.S. military with bomb parts used in the Vietnam War.
It also helped to significantly improve American perceptions of made-in-Japan products.
Known for its production quality, Sony was able to charge above-market prices for its consumer electronics and resisted lowering prices. In 1971, Masaru Buka handed the position of president over to his co-founder Akio Morita.
Sony began a life insurance company in 1979, one of its many peripheral businesses.
Amid a global recession in the early 1980s, electronics sales dropped and the company was forced to cut prices.
Sony's profits fell sharply.
It's over for Sony, one analyst concluded.
The company's best days are behind it.
Around that time, Norio Oda took up the role of president.
He encouraged the development of the compact disc, CD, in the 1970s and 1980s, and of the PlayStation in the early 1990s.
Oda went on to purchase CBS Records in 1988 and Columbia Pictures in 1989, greatly expanding Sony's media presence.
would succeed Morita as chief executive officer in 1989.
Under the vision of co-founder Akio Morita and his successors, the company had aggressively expanded into new businesses.
Part of its motivation for doing so was the pursuit of convergence, linking film, music and digital electronics via the internet.
This expansion proved unrewarding and unprofitable, threatening Sony's ability to charge a premium on its products as well as its brand name.
In 2005, Howard Stringer replaced Nahayuki Ide as chief executive officer, marking the first time that a foreigner had run a major Japanese electronics firm.
Stringer helped to reinvigorate the company's struggling media businesses, encouraging blockbusters such as Spider-Man, while cutting 9,000 jobs.
He hoped to sell off peripheral business and focus the company again on electronics.
Furthermore, he aimed to increase cooperation between business units, which he described as silos operating in isolation from one another.
In a bid to provide a unified brand for its global operations, Sony introduced a slogan known as Make Believe in 2009.
Despite some successes, the company faced continued struggles in the mid to late 2000s.
In 2012, Kazuo Hirei was promoted to president and CEO, replacing Stringer.
Shortly thereafter, Hirei outlined his company-wide initiative, named One Sony, to revive Sony from years of financial losses and bureaucratic management structure, which proved difficult for former CEO Stringer to accomplish, partly due to differences in business culture and native languages between Stringer and some of Sony's Japanese divisions and subsidiaries.
Hirei outlined three major areas of focus for Sony's electronics business, which include imaging technology, gaming and mobile technology, as well as a focus on reducing the major losses from the television business.
In February 2014, Sony announced the sale of its video PC division to a new corporation owned by investment fund Japan Industrial Partners and spinning its TV division into its own corporation as to make it more nimble to turn the unit around from past losses totaling $7.8 billion over a decade.
Later that month, they announced that they would be closing 20 stores.
In April, the company announced that they would be selling 9.5 million shares in Square Enix, roughly 8.2% of the game company's total shares, in a deal worth approximately $48 million.
In May 2014, the company announced it was forming two joint ventures with Shanghai Oriental Pearl Group to manufacture and market Sony's PlayStation game consoles and associated software in China.
In 2015, Sony purchased Toshiba's image sensor business. It was reported in December 2016 by multiple news outlets that Sony was considering restructuring its US operations by merging its TV and film business, Sony Pictures Entertainment, with its gaming business, Sony Interactive Entertainment.
According to the reports, such a restructuring would have placed Sony Pictures under Sony Interactive CEO Andrew Howes, though Howes would not have taken over day-to-day operations of the film studio.
According to one report, Sony was set to make a final decision on the possibility of the merger of the TV, film, and gaming businesses by the end of its fiscal year in March of the following year, 2017. In 2017, Sony sold its lithium-ion battery business to Murata Manufacturing. In 2019, Sony merged its mobile, TV and camera businesses. On 1 April 2020, Sony Electronics Corporation was established as an intermediate holding company to own and oversee its electronics and IT solutions businesses. On 19 May 2020, the company announced that it would rename Sony Group Corporation as of 1 April 2021.
Subsequently, Sony Electronics Corporation would be renamed to Sony Corporation.
On the same day, the company announced that it would turn Sony Financial Holdings, currently Sony Financial Group, of which Sony already owns 65.06% of shares, to a wholly owned subsidiary through a takeover bid. On 1 April 2021, Sony Corporation was renamed Sony Group Corporation.
On the same day, Sony Mobile Communications Incorporated absorbed Sony Electronics Corporation, Sony Imaging Products and Solutions Incorporated, and Sony Home Entertainment and Sound Products Incorporated, and changed its trade name to Sony Corporation. We will continue about Sony on part 2, so stay tuned.